In this video, we're going to review the process for reassociating your medications with the new diagnoses once you've converted your assessments from ICD-9 to ICD-10. In this first example, I have an old note, and in this note, I gave the patient 4 diagnoses on the problem list, and I prescribed a medication for each of them. This is an old note, and notice these are all ICD-9 codes. Now, I'm going to go forward like we're having a visit today. The patient's in to see me now, and we're going to assume that it's now ICD-10 time, so I need to be using the new codes. First, if I look in my right chart panel, I can see my diagnoses here, but I don't want to simply hit the left arrow and bring them over, or it will bring it over in ICD-9 format, not ICD-10. We need to convert them first. The easiest way to do so with the problem list is click Assessment, make sure that this Use ICD-10 box is checked, and now select your problem list. Here you can see all 4 of them, and I'm going to click on them one at a time. When I click hypertension, it's a straight mapping over from ICD-9 to ICD-10, and there it is. Diabetes has more options, and I'm going to choose the more appropriate one here. I'm going to pick this one. Note that in ICD-10 there are often other diabetes codes which are necessary related to other complications, but I'm not going to go into that here. I'm going to click Apply. Now for the hyperlipidemia, it's similar. I need to choose one. And finally, on gout. Gout maps straight over. However, notice this is unspecified. There are some more specific gout codes which may be more appropriate. However, for these purposes, I have now converted all of my problem list with ICD-9 codes into ICD-10 codes now. When I close, you can see that my assessment list now shows the diagnoses with the ICD-10 codes. Now I want to refill the medications. If I refill them right now, these medications are still associated with ICD-9 codes, and I can demonstrate that by clicking one. If I go to refill the losartan, notice that it pulled the ICD-9 hypertension code, and that's what it refilled it under. This is not appropriate because now it will drop a 9 code to my list, and I don't want that. Instead, I'm going to remove the hypertension. One other consideration is this. When all the ICD-10 codes were created by eClinicalWorks, to my knowledge, none of them are listed as chronic. Those are going to need to be changed on your database at some point. So for now, I'd click the problem list to make these all part of the problem list rather than acute meds, so that they remain going forward. So I took off the ICD-9 hypertension. I'm going to go here, and now I'm going to have to remove the losartan as well. Now I want to reorder these medications, but I want to associate them with the new ICD-10 codes. So starting with hypertension, I'm going to click Current RX. Notice that hypertension is selected, and now I'm going to hit refill on my losartan. I'm going to move down to diabetes and refill my metformin, hyperlipidemia to refill my atorvastatin, and gout I'm going to refill the Colchicris. Now notice each of these are associated with the correct medical problem and the correct ICD-9 code for that problem. When we close and refresh the problem list, you can now see that I have my 10 codes on here, and I have the correct medication associated with each one of those. So this patient's taken care of today, and I'm going to go ahead and lock this note. Now, let's suppose that I'm seeing them back in a month or two, and I have a new appointment. In this case, this is a future appointment, at least for today's date, but we're going to assume that they're following up with me in the future, and I need to refill their medications again, just like the last visit. So I'm going to go to Overview here on the right chart panel. Notice now what has happened. My old problem list with the ICD-9 codes is here. My new problem list with the new ICD-10 codes is also here. As I scroll down further, you can see my medications, and in this case I'm going to refill the losartan. Because I reassociated it with the new ICD-10 code for hypertension, when I hit refill, it's going to pull the hypertension code, and notice it pulled the correct one. I can do the same thing with all of the others. I'm just going to click each one in turn, and notice it pulled all 4 diagnoses with the correct ICD-10 code, and then it reordered them exactly the way that I ordered them last time. One other thing that's even faster is you can refill all of these at once. I'm just going to quickly remove them here so I can demonstrate that to you. Now I'm also going to remove my diagnoses here. I wanted to demonstrate first that now that we've associated them correctly, I can quickly order the medications here and it will automatically pull the associated ICD-10 code. This is really helpful once you have them associated correctly. Now imagine that I'd come in, I know that I have them all associated correctly and I want to refill all of them. I could hit refill on all of them, or I've got my left arrow here. When I click it, I get an option to either continue, refill all, or refill at 30 or 90 days. I already know that I wrote them with the refills I wanted last time, so I'm just going to hit refill all. And you'll see all 4 diagnoses were pulled immediately. All 4 of them were prescribed exactly the same way that I did it last time. This is a big time saver once you have the medications correctly associated with the diagnosis codes. Let's also decide that perhaps I want to do a new blood pressure medicine as well. I'm going to go into treatment. I'm already on hypertension, so now I'm going to add a new medication. And I'm going to add metoprolol. I have a shortcut for metoprolol right here. That's the one I'm going to choose. Again, hypertension selected, so all I do is add it. Hit OK, just like prescribing any new medication. And you can now see that hypertension is also associated with metoprolol as well as losartan. When I see this patient next time I need to do a refill, I will next time also have the metoprolol here, and I can individually refill, or I can hit the left arrow and refill them all at once. I hope that this has been helpful. The one other thing that you can consider at this point is I can now go into my problem list and I can remove the old hypertension, diabetes, hyperlipidemia, and gout diagnoses. To do so, I can click the hypertension with ICD-9 and I'm going to remove it, and I have the option to remove it completely or add it to medical history. I'm not going to add it to medical history because they're always going to have hypertension. It'll always be there. So I'm going to remove it, and I'm just going to do the same process with all 4 of the old ones. Notice the new ones with the ICD-10 are still here. When I refresh, now my problem list is current with ICD-10. There aren't any ICD-9s for me to accidentally pull in, and all of my medications are now associated correctly, and I can quickly and easily pull them over at future visits for rapid refills. Thank you.